Welcome to The Perspective. Many times on our program, we talk about people who've gone through a series of pain, suffering, struggles, a period of brokenness in their life. But today, we're not only going to be talking about that, but we're going to be talking to two ladies who've been on our program before, Vahen King and Tammy Richards. And they're going to share a story of being restored, of how God has rebuilt them and reshaped them, and how they are being used powerfully to impact people. It really is the comeback story. And we're glad that you've come back today as well on The Perspective. Many of you are watching now across the states, some into Europe. We're so excited for the reach of this program. And I just want to say at any time, we'd love for you to go to theperspective.tv. You can download some material. Our Bible study helps are there. Let us know that you're watching the program. Call our 24/7 prayer line. We're here to encourage you. I'm going to be sharing from God's Word today. It's going to be exciting, but we're also going to have an amazing conversation with two amazing ladies. Now, welcome back to The Perspective. I'm here today with a couple that I've pegged as the dynamic duo. We have Vahen King and we have Tammy Richards, and they've been with us before on the program, and they're back to tell us more. Ladies, welcome. So glad you're here.
Thanks so much.
Well, good to be here, Pastor Mike.
Yeah, and last time you both shared about some tough stuff, mental health, restored friendship, leadership, intimacy with God. And friends, if you missed that conversation, you can check it out on our YouTube channel or go to our website, theperspective.tv. But today, we're going to go deeper. And both Vahen and Tammy have, just spearheaded this whole conversation. And I'm grateful just really to listen in. But they're going to talk on the whole theme of what it means to be restored and equipped and ready to rescue. Okay, that almost sounds like a search and a rescue team, but Vahen, you start. Why is this subject so important to you today?
This subject is important, Pastor Mike, because it is literally my life. The title itself is maybe it sounds like I've spent some time with ChatGPT or whatever, but it represents my journey and being restored from so much loss. It represents my journey of losing my independence, almost losing my marriage, my identity, and my faith. And yes, I've walked through emotional, physical, and spiritual pain, but it's about being surrendered to God in that process of healing. And the healing truly only begins in the surrender, the restoration between myself and God and those around me, and being able to walk in that surrender. But then being equipped is just, I'm telling you, walking through the surrender of coming and releasing your sin to God is one thing, but then walking in the equipping stage is the most grueling because it's the refining fire and it's seasons of testing and growth in ways that I never thought I would ever have to go through and endure. And they're ready to rescue. Like God has been showing me, God, Vahen, you've been tested and approved, and now you're ready. Not perfect, don't have it together all the time, but now you're ready to go forward. And I say the scripture that I like to wrap this all up. It is look at this one. I think Sons of Solomon 5 and 8. Look at this one. It's Vahen. It's Tammy. You fill in the blank with your name. This one, she arises from her desert, clinging to her beloved.
Man, wow, that's a lot to process. And thank you for being so succinct and sharing all that. So let's just take it a little further. Tammy, I want to ask you a question. Why is restoration in your mind the first step before anyone can be truly equipped to rescue others?
Well, I don't know if you're aware, but I'm a nurse, Pastor Mike, and I've been nursing for quite a few years. And one of the roles that I had was I managed the occupational health department for a large Catholic healthcare organization. And at that time, we were responsible for the care of the healthcare workers. I used to say that we cared for the people who cared for people. And I would always say to my staff, the care that these healthcare providers give is only as healthy as the person that's giving it. And so I feel like that's applicable in life, in that we can only pour out what we have inside. You can't pour from an empty cup. And unfortunately, it would be so nice if we were able to bypass that restoration process, but it's not possible. We have to be restored in order to be able to pour out. We have to let God pour into us, help us with the struggles, and help us to overcome those things in order to be able to pour out to others in a healthy way.
It's interesting you talk about that, because many times when I find myself helping individuals, that we can deal with a crisis the one day, and then the next day they come back and they say, I think I'm going to be a counselor.
Right.
And I do smile and I say, well, that's great, but let's just take it one breath at a time.
Exactly.
Just before we jump back to Vahen, Tammy, tell me this. You have gone through seasons of intense pain yourself, and you've commented on that on our previous program. How did all that pain prepare you to now walk with others in this wilderness of restoring people? Because it really is a wilderness, isn't it, where people start? They're just kind of
Absolutely.
lost. So how was your pain helped?
Yeah, I mean, obviously no one likes to walk through seasons of pain or feel like they're in a wilderness, but in some ways I feel like that in itself it qualifies you, because when you're talking with someone, when you're going through something yourself and you're talking with someone and they say that must be really hard for you, um you feel their compassion. But when someone can look at you and say, you know what, I've been where you are and I've walked that road, and it's not an easy one, but look at me now. I can tell you that God was with me through the struggle, and here we are on the other side of it. And so you come alongside someone and maybe they see that you're a little farther along in the journey. And that's what I believe at this point, or I pray that God uses from the pain that I've walked through, is he takes that and allows me to come alongside other individuals who are broken, who are hurting, and help them find hope, because hope is the one thing that most people need in those situations, and it's hard to find sometimes. So, yeah.
Yeah, that hope, it's the whole ministry of encouragement, isn't it? When you can say to someone, I know what you're like. I know what you're going through. What is really hard is when someone says, oh, I know what you're going through, and they haven't been there.
Exactly.
That's when you want to kind of pull back and just whack them.
Right.
But I'm not allowed to say that on TV, okay? I'm perfect. Like, I never have those feelings. So, but I'm just in case you've ever felt that, I'm saying it for you, okay?
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that, especially referencing the healthcare profession, because many times I'm in the hospital and I'm seeing people and the healthcare workers, and they're just kind of overwhelmed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vahen, I want to ask you another
Absolutely.
question, but do you want to weigh in on that one as well?
Just to say that the great Martin Luther, he said, pain qualifies you to have a message. Pain qualifies you to speak. And echo what Tammy just said, like when you can look back, that's only truly how you can see what God has done. And so, yeah, just the process in itself is hard, but keep going.
Yeah, and that ministry of encouragement, of giving hope to people, is so huge. And right now, just as we're going to be unpacking so much more with you ladies, I just want to give out our toll-free number. It's 855-910-6297. You feeling pain, you feel overwhelmed or discouraged, there's people there that are willing to and happy to pray with you and to talk with you. I want to invite you to call that number or write to me, prayer@theperspective.tv. I'm going to be back in just a moment with Vahen and Tammy. Stay with us. Hey, welcome to The Perspective. Mike Sherbino here. We're glad you're with us.
It's all right here. Watch when you want, where you want.
Well, welcome to The Perspective. I'm Lori.
Real stories, honest questions,
Strong.
a fresh perspective, right where you are. Today,
Take time to relish in
The perspective. Follow, like, share. You're part of the mission.
Hey, welcome back to The Perspective. I'm here with Vahen King and Tammy Richards. And Vahen, I'm going to pick on you next, all right? You ladies have both walked through so much trauma and so many challenging situations that you do have a podium to speak from. You have a platform. And I want to ask you, Vahen, what would you say, and I know you have said this already, to people who feel like God could never use their pain to help others? What would you say?
Oh, first of all, I'm sorry that you're going through some serious pain because we don't want to minimize that pain. But just to give you like a little highlights reel of my pain, but also share with you my highlights. Miss Wheelchair Canada, a happy marriage, all these titles. But what you don't see behind that is the journey. I lost my independence. I literally lost my identity and had to fight for like, I felt ugly in the chair. I felt useless. I felt like that God, like the plans that I thought I had for my life were a different way than what I'm living out now. I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. And I'm like, well, when I said, God, I want to love and serve you forever, I'd go through anything. I guess he was putting me to the test. But the thing is, when surrendering that pain, here's what I've learned, that God doesn't rush or demand that we get over it. He meets us in it. And in time, only in the rearview mirror, that he can take what's broken, every part. I think God doesn't waste anything. I've walked through infidelity. I've had miscarriages. It's pain, regardless of it's different than your pain. What I've learned is that if you turn it to him, your story matters. And everything can be repurposed for him. And that is the true example of restored, equipped, and ready to rescue. And right now, God just wants you to be held and to know that he's with you.
Wow. So as I'm listening to that, I'm looking at the two of you ladies. You're both beautiful ladies, and I know you've encouraged each other. Tammy, do you just want to weigh in on that for a second? What do you say now to people who just feel like, oh, it's all over, there's no more hope, God can't use me?
Yeah, I would say I've been there. I've been in that place, reaching the deepest, darkest place of depression I had ever thought I would reach, to the point where I tried to take my own life. And so I understand when you find yourself in that situation, you think there's no hope, there's no way God can ever use this. But he just has this way of taking that story and turning it around for the good. And he provides people. I didn't do it alone. There were people that he sent along the way who helped me find my faith again, who helped me get well, who sat on my couch with me and talked things through, and became Jesus with skin on, really. And that meant so much. And I think that when you get to that place, then you can help others find that as well.
Just take it one step further, Tammy. What helped you to move forward? I mean, you've mentioned a bunch of things. Is there one of those things that stand out, or is there some more? What helped you to keep taking the steps to move forward?
I mean, I think for me, finding hope came when I cried out to Jesus. I cried out to him in my darkness, and he didn't leave me, even when I felt like I was worthless and had no life left to live. In that darkness, he spoke to me. He gave me scriptures to read out, and the people, the people that he sent along to help me find hope in the darkness.
I love that you said, I cried out to Jesus. There's a song that our band at church has been playing a lot. It says, I sought the Lord and he heard and he answered. And it's such a beautiful song. Vahen, tell me about some of the people with whom you've shared your story to help them get back on track. And I'd love to hear that. Your journey towards healing.
Oh, I could answer this in so many different ways. But a lot of times it's just living out that freedom. Because if I just said, oh, yeah, God changed my life, but I don't tell you, or even live it, or even live with joy or whatever. But one of the stories that sticks out to me the most was there was a young lady who has tried to take her life multiple times. And one day, through a series of events, I was told that she kept my first book about my whole story close because she said she'd read it. She'd read it when she felt like she needed someone who understood what she was going through. And we truly do overcome by the blood of the Lamb and word of our testimony. But we must know and experience the blood of the Lamb before we can gain our identity in Christ and be confident to help others and find their identity.
Oh, man, that is so powerful what you've just shared. Tammy, your story is a little fresher than Vahen's the last couple of
Right.
years. How is God using your story? How are you encouraging people? Even as a healthcare professional, I think about what you shared just at the beginning of the interview, with the healthcare professionals, they got to be in a strong place to help others. And you're wise, you knew all these things, and you really struggle with the whole battle of mental illness and how it impacted you. And God has
Right.
brought you through to the other side. Man, that is awesome. Um, what's happening? What are people saying now?
I guess I would preface that with saying that it's hard to share mental health struggles. It's hard to share that you've walked through mental illness because of the stigma around it. But what I found, I gave my testimony at my church, and at the end,
Okay.
the pastor had asked how many people had thought of taking their own life, and I'd say it was probably about a third of the people in the congregation. And then I had so many people reach out to me afterwards and thank me for sharing my story and sharing the darkness that they were walking through themselves, and the fact that listening to that story gave them hope. And so that's where I am right now. I'm open to letting God use it, and we'll see where it goes from there.
You ladies have an incredible resource. Tammy, rather not Tammy, but Vahen, tell me about where people can access Restored, Equipped, Ready to Rescue, how they can get you folks to come and speak at their church or to a group. Where do we find all that?
Absolutely. You can find both me and Tammy by just searching our name on social, but going to goingfarther.org. And I'm doing a teaser for this course, Restored, Equipped, and Ready to Rescue. And it's being maybe shared now, like publicly this way in more detail than it has yet. So this will be the first kind of step towards that teaser. And you can reach out to me. I'll be posting on social. Tammy and I'll be posting about this course. But I just want to acknowledge one thing that's really neat about this course. God gave it and birthed it to me, but through the process of it, there's going to be some co-authoring. And so you've not seen the last of some co-laboring with me and Tammy as we share this message together, even with my mom. She's a part of this as well, about being restored, equipped, and ready to rescue. So no matter where you are in that journey, whether you're a leader who just needs to feel like you've got some grounding under you to be the person that God's called you to be, then reach out. Or if you're just saying, what, I don't even have any hope, I don't even know what it looks like, you've got nothing to lose, please reach out to me and apply and RSVP for this event.
Fantastic. Well, Vahen and Tammy, thank you for coming on the program. And I look forward to the third episode as we see how God is taking both of you even further. Such an encouragement both of you are to all of our viewers. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having us.
Folks, we'll be back in just a moment.
Did you know you can stream our shows on demand? We are thrilled to announce the launch of our channel on Roku TV. You can now watch the Perspective shows anytime you like and navigate through a variety of playlists. How to find us? Simply search for the Perspective channel, find our logo screen, and save it under your channels of choice on your Roku selection menu. Don't miss out. New feature shows will be updated weekly.
I'd like you to think about 3 words: encounter with God. What does it mean to have an encounter with God? Perhaps in some ways it implies that we've been away from him and we need to reacquaint ourselves with him. I do know this, he is waiting to acquaint himself with you. He wants to reveal himself to you. But sometimes we run from God. It can be for a day, for a week, for a month, even for years. As we unpack again the teaching in today's Bible study guide, we're looking at the man Moses. And you remember Moses, how he felt called to bring freedom to the Jewish people, the incredible oppression that they are under. The book of Exodus in the early chapters says that God heard the cry of the people as they were crying out to him. And Moses, something within him rises up. He's going to be the leader. He kills an Egyptian who is attacking another fellow Jew. But all of that goes sideways. And rather than being seen as the redeemer for the people, he is seen really as the person who is going to stir up trouble. Moses finds himself running from Pharaoh for his own life, and he heads out into the wilderness. It's a place that he would despise, that you would despise. And he finds himself doing something that he loathes doing, becoming a shepherd. But he wasn't there for a week or for a month. He's actually there for years. I think when we run from God, and it's been a long time since we've experienced the closeness of his presence, we get drawn into accepting the status quo, which is way below what God ever intended for you and I to experience. And God longs for you and I to have that encounter with him. Moses' story about the burning bush is all about that encounter, how God uses an ordinary bush and does something supernatural, something extraordinary. We often get lost in the story of the burning bush, thinking, how did it keep burning and not eventually die out? When we think about that, we miss the essence of what God was trying to do. He was trying to get his man's attention. And that man was Moses. That man was his servant. That man was someone who had a calling on his heart, just as you do today as you're watching the program. Listen to the passage as I read it from Exodus chapter 3. It says, Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. And there an angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. So he thought, I will go over and see this strange sight. Why does the bush not burn up? And when the Lord saw that he'd gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, here I am. He said, don't come any closer, God said. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. And then he said, I'm the God of your father, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, the God of Jacob. And at this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. And the Lord said, I've indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying, and because of what the slave drivers are doing for them, and I am concerned for their suffering. Couple things we got to pick up right away. God called Moses by name. He's an individual. It was personal. God is calling him out, just as he is calling you and me today. He knows your name. But for 40 years, Moses had run from God in the wilderness, doing the very thing he had always detested, taking care of sheep, something that the Egyptians loathed, and something that even Jewish people loathed as well. But may I suggest something? I think that one of the reasons Moses was in the wilderness for so long was because he was captive. He was captive to fear. The fear of failure again, the fear of going back and doing what he was supposed to do. You know, something is to be said for the person who's been knocked down, who gets back up. And I just want to say and go on record that Moses was knocked down for a long time, 40 years, but God in his grace raised him back up. Are you a captive today, maybe to a mistake that you made in the past? Maybe it was a failed relationship. Maybe it was an abortion. Maybe you've got a criminal offense. Maybe you're known as an addict. The list can be endless. But I want to remind you today, out of the story of Moses, that God could be using something right in front of you, like that burning bush, to catch your attention so that you get back up on your feet and no longer remain a captive to fear. Because God promises, as he did to Moses, that he will be with you. He said, I will go before you, Moses. For 40 years, though, he'd been hiding and running. And you know what that did? It opened the door to fear and all sorts of imaginations and thinking, you know what? I'm just going to pack it in. I'm never going to go there again. Don't bother me, God. But the burning bush was God's way to get his attention. And the supernatural element of it is one thing, but God uses the supernatural. He uses the natural to get your attention and to get mine and to call us back to the purpose for which he has created us. Can I ask you today, have you been running from God? Where is the wilderness that you're hiding in today? And what is it that he's put in front of you? Could it be a person? Maybe a book that you've read? Perhaps you've been reading in Scripture and God is stirring something in your heart. I want to invite you to respond today and step into all that he has created you for. You need to step into your destiny for which he has designed specifically for you.
So I remember a time in my life when I was a teenager when I just felt so filled with hopelessness and brokenness. I had no one that I felt was a real friend and nowhere that I felt that I could turn. And at a desperate time in my life, as I was going through some of the court systems for some of the things I had gotten involved in, I stole a car and it ran away from home. Or my idea was to get across the country and get a job in British Columbia and go and see the world on a boat. And I didn't get very far, but in the back of that car was a book that introduced me to Jesus, and my life was radically transformed in that very moment as I understood that Jesus died on the cross for me, and that was when hope entered my life.
Guess what, friends? There is hope with God. And hope is not like winning the lottery. I hope to win it. It talks about a certain sure confidence that we have when we put our trust in Jesus. Just as both Tammy and Vahen have shared from their heart of how God's hope has transformed their perspective on life. I want to invite you today to put your hand in God's hand and ask him for his help. You can call one of our prayer lines at 855-910-6297 or write me, prayer@theperspective.tv, and we'll get back to you. We want you to find hope.